I must check. I have some photos of the Torchwood Pride. I think she might be a Torchwood Lioness that is here. Now, I want to quickly go and have a look at these. Now, I'm going to quickly just try and head to where these kudu are alarm calling, and while we do that, I believe Brent's Cheetah is up and moving, so let's go across to him.
Oh, sorry about that. She's on the move. We just had to move the vehicle so we could get another view of her. Now, she could be on the hunt again, so I'm just going to grab my binoculars. Where did I put my binoculars, David? Oh dear. Oh, there they are. Okay, let's see where she's off to. Now, the most important thing here is to check if there's any potential prey in the distance. As I said, the cheetah here will hunt from a vast distance, and I'm hoping there's a tommy or two in the long grass up ahead, but not that I can see at the moment. So what you probably find, she's going to do what we found her doing this morning. She's going to head to one of these nice big termite mounds. She's going to climb up there, and she's going to keep an eye. No, there we go. Flop down on the termite mound, and as I say, there's no potential prey anywhere within sight at the moment. Only some topi, and they're a little bit big for her to try and catch at the moment. Well, she'll definitely go for young topies, but they're not going to be around till September. As I say, a hungry cheetah is worth staying with. The last time we filmed a successful cheetah hunt, we stuck with them, with the female cheetah called Mlima in the south of the Mara for... Wow. Sorry. I got very... one of the more interesting Twitter handles I've ever heard, Furry Burple Snoops, would like to know if cheetahs are identified by spot patterns. Yes, they are. Here we go. Look, she's using that termite mound as a nice vantage point. They are identified by spot patterns, but more so from their coat, from some side-on shots rather than from facial shots like leopards and lions. Now, oh yes, I was saying about the last time we saw Mlima, the female cheetah, successfully hunted Thompson's gazelle down south in the Mara. We made a joke and said we're not going to eat till she eats, and we followed her for about 4.5 hours before we successfully got her making that kill. So, Dave, did you eat your breakfast this morning?
I did.
Good, because you're not getting any lunch. And remember, I know. But remember, hashtag Safari Live if you want to ask us any questions, and that is on Twitter. And we're bringing you live safaris from South Africa and Kenya simultaneously. JJ is wondering, do the cats ever approach the vehicles? Yes, they do. Actually, she wandered probably about 2 meters from us a little bit earlier, so they do most definitely approach the vehicles. Now, they are habituated to safari vehicles. Safari vehicles have been in and around this area for many, many years. But we always keep our respectful distance from them as not to disturb them. And especially when they're hunting, you'll notice we take a very wide angle. We don't want to interfere with the hunt, but we also want to put ourselves in a good position that we're able to film the hunt. So we always ensure that the animals' safety and natural behavior comes first. And she's off again. Now, as I say, I keep glassing. If there's a Thompson's gazelle that I can't see. So at the moment, all I can see is Tommies and waterback. I mean, not Tommies, waterback and topies. So now you see there's a nice high termite mound just up ahead of her, and she's heading straight towards it. I think she's probably going to rest up. Like when we first arrived. Oh, and she spotted something. I can't see anything, but she looks like she's very hungry. I mean, the last time we saw her, she also unsuccessfully chased a Thompson's gazelle. That was a couple of days ago. She definitely has eaten since then. Oh, she's going to go straight past the termite mound. Of course, as soon as you try to predict animal behavior, they prove you wrong. Oh no, she's going to prove me right. Good girl. Now, of course, if she might be able to see something, because there are quite a few big termite mounds and things there. She might be able to see something we can't in the grass from there. Hi, Vanessa. Vanessa's wondering, how far does a cheetah travel while hunting? Well, it all depends, Vanessa. I'd say the last couple of days this female's been in this area. Oh, look at her body language change there. No. And she's just going to lie down on the termite mound. Well, I think she's going to rest up there for a while. I can't see any other potential prey. I think we might move on and maybe come back here a bit later to see if there's any luck, maybe this afternoon or maybe during the middle of the day. So maybe Dave will get lunch after all. Okay, so we're going to send you back all the way to South Africa to the highly entertaining James Henry, who's just bumbling about on Djuma.
Indeed, I am just bumbling about at the moment. I'm trying desperately to find tracks of where these leopards have gone. But what a morning we've had. Spectacular stuff. Broken cars all over the place. We've had cheetah and lion. No leopard yet. So that's what we'll find you. And we're in the area now between basically with you the other side of this block. You're going to go to Jamie now.
Dear, it seems as though James has disappeared off your screen in the middle of whatever intriguing thing he was saying to you. So we've made our way to where Tristan pointed out very fresh tracks of a tundi, and I think he mentioned Tumba as well, although I have to confess I haven't seen any sign of Tumba's tracks. So somewhere around here, James says he's picked up on tracks of another leopard a bit further to the south. Rexon's convinced they're the same, but let's see. Maybe they've crossed our boundary, maybe they haven't. It's been one of those mornings where we now think, you know those kudu alarm calls where we were running along down the road? We now think that there's a very good chance that they were actually alarm calling at a leopard and not the lions. But because we could hear Tristan and hear him call in the lions in the direction of the kudu, we kind of jumped to conclusions about that. So I'm not stopping to look at too many small things right now, just because we need to sort of move relatively quickly to try and clarify exactly what's been going on with these leopards. Seems like, I would say, Tundi and Tumba have been here since we saw them a couple of days ago. They've been spending a lot of time on Djuma, which will be fun for Tumba. Oh, I thought I saw a track. Jennifer, you want to know if those lions are anywhere near Shongile and Hosana? I don't know. I have absolutely no idea because we don't know where Shongile and Hosana are. I haven't heard any reports from the other vehicles to the south of us that they've picked up on Shongile and Hosana. I think they are probably spending quite a bit of time around Hoffman's, which is to the south and to the west of here. But honestly, we don't know where. I've got no idea where Hosana and Shongile are. Not a clue. I don't think that these tracks belong to Hosana or Shongile. I think they're most likely Tundi. We could be wrong, but they don't look... It's a female, and they don't look small enough for Shongile. So while we try and figure that out, let's go back to Tristan with his sleepy lions in some long grass.
Well, I think our lions are done for the day. They've both passed out flat. You can see our male is fast asleep there. So Tinyo's done his thing. He did a bit of scent marking and then he lay back down again. And those kudus that were alarm calling, I found them, but there's no sign of anything else. We were looking everywhere around there and it looks like the kudu were just staring at us. So maybe they saw us and then there might have been a bit of a breeze blowing on towards them and these lions sort of scent might have drifted towards those kudu and that's why they were alarm calling and just sort of making their presence known. It also could be what this lioness was spotting. So, Wendy, you wonder if the lions know that they camouflage. Most certainly, they know that long grass is their asset. That's why when they hunt, they'll try and use it to their advantage. They try to get into these longer grass areas to be able to hunt and to be able to move around, because they know that it conceals their approach. So, lions are very clever with that. You'll watch, same as leopard, when they're hunting, they'll often use thickets and long grass, and they'll kind of watch an animal and see which way it's going, and then they do big loops around using the cover of thickets and grass areas. So they know for sure that protects them and hides them, and that's how they're able to hunt. They learn it over time, as they're cubs and they watch their mothers, and then they start doing hunts of their own. They start to realize that if they walk out in the open, that they get seen, and that doesn't help. So you'll find that they then learn that they need to get lower and try and hide themselves as much as possible in order to get close to these antelope. The antelope out here are not stupid animals, and they have to be very clever and very keen with their senses, because otherwise the lions would just massacre them. So the lions have also worked out that the antelope have very good eyesight, very good sense of smell and hearing, and therefore they need to be very cognizant of the fact that they have to use wind direction, sun, places to hide in order to be able to be successful when it comes to hunting. I was just saying to Craig now, if you didn't know these lions were here and you were driving around, there is absolutely no way that you would spot them. We are parked no more than, I would say, 12 feet from these lions, and even then, look how difficult it is to see that female. The male's a little bit easier because we've got a bit of a gap, but the female just blends in completely. She's almost not visible there from this distance. So you can imagine now, when they were 100 meters away and you driving past, how easy it is to miss these lions. It is incredible just how well they blend in. But I would imagine that that's pretty much it for the day. We're not going to probably see too much more from these lions in terms of activity, unless something comes in and that they end up chasing it like the leopards or some sort of prey species. I think this is where they're going to sort of spend their time. The other interesting thing is that this female and the male combination, they can't have mated yet, because yesterday, like I say, all three of the Birminghams were together and Tinyo was there with them. So, and 2 nights ago, all 4 were together. So it means that they have to, in some way, this female must have joined last night, and so this is the beginning parts of the mating. There's lots of chasing each other around, and that's why we haven't seen any copulation yet, but I would imagine by this afternoon maybe they'll start to actually do some proper mating, and we'll be able to see them. Also, we didn't have any sort of sound of them mating prior to us finding them, which is often how you do find mating animals, is because they make a lot of noise. And so I would imagine that this afternoon they're going to be possibly doing what they do best when it comes to mating, and that will be doing the actual act. And so hopefully we'll see over the next 2-3 days. The other interesting thing is that her sort of general movement has been in a northeasterly direction, which would also tend to suggest that she possibly is from the Torchwood Pride, because she'll know that if she heads in that direction, she's heading back towards safety. So it'll be interesting to see how they go tonight and what direction she takes when they wake up this evening, and we'll definitely come here this evening to be able to try and see which way they do go. But wasn't that an amazing surprise? Out of nowhere. That was very cool. And the fact that we just drove that road and there wasn't even a track for a lion. We were busy tracking a running hyena, which we then found at Treehouse Dam. And then when we came around, and I was busy 1 foot with the tracks for Tundi and Tumba, when we heard the kudu barking, and these guys popped out of nowhere. So where they came from, I have no idea. We must have just missed them driving around the first time, because like I say, there was no tracks for lions anywhere there. But there we go. That's our sleeping honeymoon couple. I think we're probably going to leave them to it and try and see if we can't go and find Tundi and Tumba, since their tracks are not too far from this area. We'll go and just do a couple of loops around and see if there is any sign of them, and leave these two to it and having a good nap. Now, unfortunately, we've managed to damage Rusty on our way in as well. Rusty now has no brakes, so I need to remember that when I'm driving around. I'm hopefully not going to crash into anything, which I'm going to probably have to try and find an area where I can drop a branch that we can actually find these lions again later. Can I still go back there, Craig? Alright, so we're going to carry on and try to get our way out of here and see which is the best way out. And while we do that, let's go across to Jamie and see if she's had any more alarm calls or any further luck with those elusive leopards this morning.
Nope. No further luck. Rex has done a big circle, or is busy doing a big circle around us to see where these tracks have disappeared off. The problem is patches like this, because I thought I smelt popcorn for a second, but maybe it's just wishful thinking. Maybe it's just a strong desire to smell buttered popcorn. Did you eat popcorn late last night? Okay, then maybe it's genre I'm smelling. But I mean, if I walk along here, and I've got 2 legs that my weight's distributed on, so obviously my tracks are going to be heavier than that of a leopard that has 4 legs, even if we do weigh somewhere around the same region, I don't leave a footprint. Not at all, not in the slightest. So where's she gone? Now, Wilson, you want to know if the big cats have anything that preys on them. Yes, they do. Other big cats, essentially. So a leopard will eat a cheetah. A cheetah is unlikely to be able to kill, and it might not consume a big cat, although if it gets hold of leopard cubs, or even if it gets hold of lion cubs, it will kill them. It's part of the it's less about predation and more about removing competition from, one predator to another, and removing competition for their future offspring. So leopards, there's lots of recorded cases of leopards killing cheetah and eating them and hoisting them into trees. Lions will absolutely kill and partially consume any other big cat. Hyenas also might, if they find, again, cubs especially. They're not going to have much luck with a larger leopard because they're much more switched on as to the dangers, and they'll disappear up a tree very quickly. But a small leopard, absolutely. Small lion cub, absolutely. So all of the predators will kill other predators if they have that opportunity. It's just a question of who has the advantage at what point. Lions, of course, naturally have a massive advantage, just purely due to their size. Now, I wonder what happened with the leopard movements, because now we've got 2 lions thrown into the mix as well. First it was the elephants, although I think the elephants were chasing the lions, not the leopards. And now we've got mystery leopards that have disappeared off somewhere in here. And so there's a road. This particular road runs all the way along this drainage line. The last time I saw Tundi, she was on the other side, towards Twin Dams Road. We're now on the opposite side, on Weaver's Nest. But I'm almost certain those are her tracks and not Shongile's. They're far too big to be Shongile's. Now, of course, I know the inevitable question from there is, but what if it's Karula? It could be, but it's unlikely, but it's possible. But with the amount Tundi's been moving around here, I think it's more likely to be her. Okay, let's go and find out what's got James so pensive about a tree.
It's a bird that has flown away, I'm afraid. It was a beautiful sighting of a black-headed oriole that naturally failed to materialize on screen on account of the fact that, basically it just didn't want to sit still for long enough. Very irritating, feeling deeply, deeply unamused by the situation. I found no further leopard tracks. I'm not even going to talk about them anymore. I'm just going to be leaving this area, and I think eventually we'll fetch up sometime during the next half an hour or so at Biffleshoek Dam. That's as far away from this area as I can possibly get. You may hear a slight sense of frustration in my voice. Yes, well, you would not be incorrect that I'm feeling frustrated. We have had very nice sightings at at Twin Dams of hippo and waterbuck and nice things, but unfortunately we have not had any signal with which to use animals. So now we are going to go off towards the northeast and see if there isn't better signal in that region, and we may pick up on those elephants that we had earlier today during the school drive, where I must just reiterate that I was asked if we get any spiky animals here, which I think was quite a wonderful question to get. Now it seems that love is in the air, not only in South Africa but also in the Mara.
Well, it seems like lion love is in the air, not only in the Sabi Sands today, but also in the Masai Mara. Now, I've been told that this is one of the musketeers, and we saw Scar not far from here yesterday, and I'm not sure which one of the musketeers this is. So Scar could be around, not too far away, if one of his cohorts is cohorting with one of the Magoro females, which I'm not 100% sure. I'm still waiting for a lot of the data on the lions and stuff like that. I sort of assumed that the Magoro Pride, just from where their territory is, was an offshoot of the Paradise Pride, which generally on the other side of the river. So this is quite exciting that we've caught up with one of the musketeers. Isn't this just too thrilling? Although they are having a good nap at the moment. Now, this could very easily be a Paradise female that's crossed the river if the Magoro Pride is an offshoot. And I'm not 100% sure on the numbers of the Paradise or the Magoro Pride. I know for certain I've seen 3 females together on this side of the river, and I've seen 9 different females on the other side of the river. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for us. Oh, I'm just going to say hello to one of our neighbours quickly. Morning, morning. How's everyone doing? Not too bad. Nice, easy morning in the morning, huh? Lions, cheetah, lions, everywhere. So here we go. And remember, this is 100% live, coming to you from Kenya. Sleeping lions at the moment, but hopefully they'll get up to something shortly. What's your plans? Where are you heading? South or breakfast? Full day. Well, me too. I'll see you around then. Cheers, guys. We will do, definitely. Cheers. Okay. So we got one of the Ngama guests out on a full day. James says, are we sure today is not Catterday? What is today? I actually don't know what day it is today. Dave says he thinks it's Thursday. Thursday. What can we make Thursday into, David? Fur Day. Thursday, Fur Day. Well done, David. So, I want to just get my binos out and have a quick look around to make sure good old Scar's not about. And he was probably only about 60 or 70 meters from here where we saw him yesterday. But no sign of him so far. Jason's asking, is it Scarface or Scar? I've only referred to him, called Scar by all the guides here, so I'm not sure. Anyway, Scarface just sounds too gangster. I think I prefer Scar, but I'm not 100% sure. But all the guides here referred to him as Scar, so it might have been the Scarface, but maybe it's just been abbreviated. Oh, he's a beautiful big boy, that guy. Look at the size of those paws. They're like dinner plates. Ginny is wondering, will lions cross the Mara River? They will, Ginny. And actually, the first time I saw Scar and 2 of the musketeers was on the other side of the river. So this is only the second time I've seen them all on this side of the river. Well, the first time I ever saw Scar at this side of the river was yesterday. So there we go. Isn't this wonderful? I mean, we haven't had to go far to see lots and lots today. Well, lots of cats at least. This is our 3rd cat sighting of the day. We had a sighting of the Ngama Pride, but quite far off the road. So we let them be and decided to just carry on our adventures, and then we found the cheetah and now the lions. Marissa is wondering, are there still any mega prides in the Masai Mara? Now, Marissa, it all depends on what your definition of a mega pride is, I suppose. I think the largest pride in the triangle that I know about is the Border Pride, which is over 20 individuals. I'd say the Paradise Pride's probably quite big. I mean, pushing 15 to 20 as well. I haven't heard of any prides sort of over 30 or so yet, but as I say, I've only been here for 2 weeks or so, and I'm still gathering all my data, and hopefully soon I'll be able to have that meeting with the lion researchers, and then I'll have much better answers for you. Hi, Keith. Keith is wondering, do I prefer to do safaris in the Mara or the Sabi Sands? Well, Keith, it is really, I can't compare the two. They're very different ecosystems, and I love both equally. But of course, the Mara is very new and exciting, and I think for me, it's just the sheer size that really draws me to this area. And to be able to have 160,000 hectares of traverse is absolutely incredible. So I think that's probably the main draw to me. Oh, heads up! Oh, he is magical. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? Big fluffy mane. So as I said, I'm not sure which of the musketeers this is. And you see quite a few battle scars on his schnoz. Hey, big boy. Oh, here we go. Love is in the air. Let's see if she's going to be not as interested as he is. It probably means this is quite early on in the mating. Oh, you might get a smack, mister. Here we go. And you can hear there are other game drive vehicles here. Here we go. Now, nap for 15 minutes and rinse and repeat. Just hang on, Dave. Something's going on there. Those buffalo have just taken off. I'm not sure what they're running from, or they're just chasing each other about. Suddenly, half the herd went off stampeding. Sorry. I don't know what's going on. Half the herd seem relaxed, and the other half are just galloping. I can't see any lions. But that doesn't mean they aren't. Oh, here we go. There's the rest of the herd taking off now. Something has panicked them. Some of them are running back towards us. I can't see any lions. Maybe they... See, half the herd is running off into the distance, back towards the escarpment. The other half of the herd is running towards us. Just trying to see if we can make out a kitty cat in that dust, and a third of the herd is sort of just chilling about, not really knowing what's going on. Morning, morning, morning. Well, sometimes I might have just been spooked by a single buffalo taking off. No, there we go. Now there's true pandemonium. You see any lions, Dave? Maybe the herd had an argument and decided to split. Unlikely, but who knows? I'm just checking on the periphery, seeing if there's any lions testing for babies. But it's quite a strange sight. Look at them go. The front runners, look at them take off there. No, further to the left. Oh, we can't get there, can we? We can try. Look at that. Well, they seem to slow down now. Maybe they just smelt something that was offensive. It seems to have calmed down now. I think it was a bit of a false alarm. Oh wow, wasn't that cool though? Seeing those big herd of buffalo galloping on the open plains. Hang on, now the topi are running. To the left of that. Where are the topi going now? No, I think someone went on a run and everyone had a panic. Everything's calmed down. Okay, well, we're going to keep on moving. We're going to try to explore some new areas today. So we're going to keep moving, see what else we can find. While we do that, let's go see some Southern African impala with James.
Those impala are upside down impala, aren't they, Seb? Yes, the upside down impala of Gari Dam. We came across here on our way to Buffelshoek Dam. We found these two impala who were having a fight. Naturally enough, they are not having a fight anymore. It was strange to see them having a fight though, because the big one is substantially bigger, of course, than the small one. And the small one should not be looking for any kind of dominance over the bigger one. They do keep looking off to the right-hand side, sort of standing about gormlessly now. They're probably just a little bit ashamed, of course, because they are now into the business end of the rut, and these two have not succeeded in getting themselves a territory or a harem of ladies. And so the big chap was probably taking his frustrations out on the little chap, who just wants to be friends and can't understand why the big chap who used to be his friend now wants to headbutt him all day long. Don't worry, little fellow, that situation will rectify in the next week or so, 2 weeks or so. It's quite sweet. Gosh, this morning started off with so much leopard shouting, I felt very sure, with the speed with which Tristan and Rexon and Jamie got onto those tracks, including Taxon and Lex, I thought we were definitely going to have leopards this morning. Negative. Hello, Riti. You're wondering what impala use their horns for other than fighting. Riti, not a great deal, really. They use them sort of for territorial marking. They'll horn bushes. So they'll sort of bash bushes and leave their scent on small, low-hanging branch, small, low bushes. But otherwise, not a great deal. And it's interesting, they probably don't use them for defense. And the reason they don't use them for defense is that they have much more effective running away rather than facing their predators. And you'll find that animals that use their horns for... Sorry, I'm just listening to the radio. Apparently there's some impala alarm calling around where Tristan is. That's good news. Maybe the leopards are there. You'll find that in species where the horns are used for defense and not just fighting, then the females will also have them. Because, of course, the females, as much as we males would like to think we are as important as they are, it is inescapably untrue. Because, of course, the females are much more necessary to raising the youngsters, and so they do need to have horns if they're going to be used for defense. We're going to push on to Buffelshoek Dam. Jamie has now got a creepy, crawly arachnid.
I've got several creepy, crawly arachnids, and in fact something fascinating playing out in this particular massive web. So this web is very, very characteristic. It belongs to a tent spider, or tropical tent spider. They make the most amazing webs that look very much like a circus tent, or like a sort of a circular tent with a central pole. And I'm not sure where the tent web spider actually is, where the spider responsible for making this web really is. You can see that was the egg sac that you could see at the back, the sort of the opaque covering of silk. And I can't find the adult tent web spider anywhere, but this entire web is overrun with kleptoparasites. And kleptoparasites, like kleptomania, they like to steal. And they are basically found on every single big spider web, where they will go and they will thieve from the main spider's food stock. And actually, potentially what we think was happening there was occasionally stealing the eggs from the egg sac itself. It's difficult to see, and I can't, due to the fact that it is in a spike thorn, I can't actually get close enough. I'm also not tall enough to get close enough to see exactly what's going on. But there's the central egg sac, and then dotted around are places where the tent web spiders actually stocked some food, wrapped up its various kills in silk. And it's an amazing view from where I am. Most beautiful spiders. We've got lots and lots of dewdrop or mercury drop spiders. They're called different names in different reference books. But they basically really look like patches of dew. And because I'm standing here with the sun shining directly on them, it's actually a gorgeous, gorgeous image. However, there's one kleptoparasite here that I've never seen before. Here we go. Well done, Jandre. Jandre's managed to sneak in through the spike thorn thicket. So there the dewdrop. Oh, I can't even get my blade of grass in to guide Jandre. Can you see them there, Jandre? There's one that is shimmering in the sun. There must be about, I would say, about 20 kleptoparasites in this web. And it is a very big web, so there's plenty of space for them all to be spread out. But I can see small ones and big ones, but I've never ever seen a red one before. Or a red version. Oh, I see. Is that what you were talking about, Jandre? Sorry, I just seen a little flying insect it's just gone round the back. There's also a little flying insect that appears to be feeding off whatever is around here. That's fascinating. There's a whole ecosystem in one large web with over 20 spiders. Right. Now, this morning we started off with a beautiful, beautiful bird of the night. James has doubled that achievement.
I haven't really. I've repeated that achievement. It's the same too. I'm pretty sure that Jamie begun with, because we saw their vehicle just nearby. But what I wanted you to do, in addition to see them, just listen to how upset everything is around here. There's all the grey go-away birds coming to shout at them. There are hornbills, drongos, starlings. And they just are so intolerant because they know that these owls are predators of theirs. And I think they probably all understand if not the exact language, certainly the essence of what's being said by all the others. And that is that there's a predator here, come and take a look, see where it is, and then you can decide whether you want to hang around here or go somewhere else. And to many people, this seems like a very strange reaction. Why, if they could see the predator, would they go anywhere near it? And the thing is, with most predators out here, ambush is the name of the game. If you're an owl, you hunt at night, you hunt completely silently, and you ambush your prey. Same with lions, same with leopards. And the reason for that is that your prey is normally actually just as fast as you are. And although possibly not quite as strong, it is just as quick. And if it has any kind of warning that you're there, well, then it will escape. And so being in close proximity to your predator when you can see it is often really not a risk at all. Not knowing where the predator is far more a risk. And so to just sort of leave an area like this when you know that there are predators around without thoroughly investigating what's going on, poses much more of a risk than being in close proximity to the predator. Rebecca, you say, is it normal for those birds to be out during the day? You thought they were nocturnal. Rebecca, it begs the question is where you think they should be, where in would be. You say they should be out. That's where they live. And that's where they're trying desperately to get some sleep. They're completely nocturnal, as you say. And that's just where they live. And you'll find them in these big, thick trees during the course of the day where they snooze. And every so often you'll be able to see that bird's eyes get very heavy indeed. And they're trying to snooze during the day, and then they will wake up during the night. Unfortunately, their slumber has been disturbed by all of the consternation created by their presence and the shouting lories and starlings and hornbills. You can see the heavy eyes there. So the same reason you have all of this alarm calling and activity around them is the same reason that you will find that kudu and impala and various other animals will walk towards their predators as opposed to walk away from them. Rebecca, you're just clarifying. You say you thought they lived in a hole in a tree. They don't, Rebecca. They're too big, you know. No bird, very few birds actually live in a nest unless they're breeding. These chaps live in, I suppose I know exactly where that comes from, Rebecca. I mean, I remember, before I moved out here, I probably would have thought exactly the same thing. I remember now, I have images in my mind of owls from picture books in holes, in tree holes. Out here, though, they don't nest in tree holes. They almost always nest away from tree holes. And these ones are so big, you know, they're almost 3 feet long, that to find a tree hole that was safe would be unusual. And it's interesting because nests generally are dirty and unclean places. And you will find that birds almost always will move out of the nest as soon as they can fledge, and they will not stay in them. So they don't live in nests as adults. They don't home like we do. They don't seek out a safe sort of hidey hole and make house. Does owls ever get what? Sorry, B. Smithy, I missed that. Oh, they ever get silence? Yes, B. Smithy, they will absolutely get silence. If they just sit there, eventually things will calm down. And if I'm quiet now, you can hear very quiet now. Isn't that nice? So now they can go to sleep, which is wonderful for them, and we shall press on towards our quest for Beefle's Hook Dam. Now Jamie, in the manner of a hyena, has managed to find something expired.
Unlike a hyena, I definitely don't want to be in any way consuming any of this. A hyena might come by and have a nibble through here. I shall not be doing the same thing. I also will not be touching it. We discussed this the other day about whether or not the cats get fur balls, and I'm pretty sure this was a very, very large fur ball belonging to a lion. And it doesn't just contain fur, it also has shards of bone in it. And I've just heard the leopard calling. It's so frustrating. He's south of our boundary. Oh, I hope Tristan manages to get a view of him. I'm just moving this leadwood tree out of our way. Right, so this is very fresh and it's really stinky. It smells horrible. Oh gosh, that's revolting. Lots and lots of shards of bone. And of course, the stomach acid of lions not quite as powerful as that of a hyena, so you do get these shards of bone quite clearly visible in their vomit. This isn't a shard. Oh, sorry. Oh. 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 There. That was so gross. Ugh. I'm not particularly squeamish, but this smell it's a really pleasant combination between vomit and rotting meat, which is actually really truly revolting. There's no other way to describe it. And where I'm sitting, I'm getting the full impact of it, but I have to be close because I want to dissect it. So I'm just going to switch that part of my brain off. That's a very big piece of bone. No wonder this lion had a bit of a vomit. That was no way that was going to pass through its entire digestive tract. That's massive. That looks like a piece of knuckle joint or something similar. Maybe even no, it doesn't look like a vertebra. All of the bone's been rubbed smooth though. Got very smooth edges. There's no shards, despite what we were talking about the fact that animals can eat raw bones without endangering their digestive systems. Okay, there's some shards, but it's largely been covered in mucus, so it's not going to slice open their stomach or their digestive tract. What I'm looking for, which you often find in lion vomit, is, there's some grass there. Sorry everybody if you're a bit squeamish, you just have to survive the dissection. There's some grass, so this lion wasn't feeling particularly well, and it went and nibbled off some green grass to help it bring up all of this stuff. I mean, really, there's nothing here of any good to this lion. It's a good thing that it got rid of it. But what I'm looking for is tapeworms. I'm looking for internal parasites. You very frequently find it in lion vomit, and maybe towards the bottom. Deep gulp. Is that it? No, that's a piece of hoof. I thought that was a claw for a second. I was going to say this lion's been eating predator, but nope, it's a piece of hoof. And that's very mushy. This is probably from those lions that Tristan was with. Oh, it ate a tortoise. Look. Can you see that bit of tortoise shell there, Jandre? There's a bit of leopard tortoise. Sorry, little tortoise. You are no more. Here's a hollow bit of bone. But there's no tapeworm in this lion, or at least none that I can find. Here's a hollow bit of bone that's been broken open. The marrow's digested. Okay. So, no tapeworm, no exoparasites. Just lots and lots and lots of reddish fur. What do I think this is? Combination of things, I would say. I think there might have been an impala in here. And that makes sense because it is rutting season, so it does make them more vulnerable. But it could also have been an nyala, could have been a waterbuck, and one very surprised tortoise. Okay, I think I might stand up now. Wait, is that a worm? It's one of the big reasons why you shouldn't touch lions, full stop. You really shouldn't. And if you do, you should be touching them with gloves, or you should be regularly deworming yourself, or have a very strong course of Voltricide, something that will get rid of all kinds of parasites. That could be a bit of an exoparasite. I mean, an internal parasite. Canadian Emily, we saw that bit of grass in there earlier. You want to know if it's the grass that caused the lion to vomit. Might have been. We know that all animals, or all dogs, cats, lions, leopards, they will eat grass when they feel ill. I think there's a way of tickling the back of their throat, that perhaps they're trying to get that gag reflex that I'm currently trying to force down with every bone in my body. I think really what caused the lion to throw up, though, was this entire bolus sitting in its stomach, blocking up everything. Maybe the grass helped, but I think it was really, especially that big piece of bone, that entire stomach would have been contracting around that, and eventually would have brought this all up. Very pretty, isn't it? Must have been lovely to watch. Violet, you want to know if there are flowers or herbs that one could put in one's nose for bad smells. I'm looking for some wild aniseed. That would actually be ideal. I'm going to go shortly after this and try and find myself something nice smelling. We do get wild thyme, we get wild basil, and hopefully one of those things will be somewhere obvious. I haven't seen them growing all that much. It's now into our dry season, so there's not as many of them around as there were. Actually, at this point, anything would be great. I would love to. In fact, there's some elephant dung. I'll just sniff that. Remind myself oh, that's much better. Oh, that is so revolting. It's desperate times when you're sniffing elephant dung to get rid of that smell. Right, I'm getting up now, and I'm going to send you over to Tristan so that I can swallow down the bile that's rising.
Shame, Jamie. I'm sorry that you've had to experience that. That sounds horrific. Does not sound like a good thing to see in the morning, especially not early in the morning. But somebody had to do it, unfortunately. So I'm afraid not cool. I can actually just picture that smell. Well, not picture it, but smell that smell. It's the most horrible thing ever. Now, unfortunately, all of our leopard tracks that we have found are all crossing south. I found tracks for Thandi, Tamba and Tingana all heading southwards. We actually just heard Tingana calling straight south of us, not even, I would say, probably 300-400 meters south of the road. So he's just crossed, and Thandi and Tamba's tracks are also very fresh. Although I'm now second guessing as to whether they are Thandi and Tamba's tracks. They could be Hosana and Shongile, because we are very, very far to the west, so it would be unknown for Thandi to be this far west. Never ever heard of her coming this far, so it would be interesting if she was taking her cub this way, because it's really into an unknown area. So maybe it was Hosana and Shongile. I spoke to the guys from the south. They had tracks for also a young female and a male up and down the Mulawati, so it's anyone's guess as to who's who at this stage. The problem is that Shongile has got a similar track size to what Thandi does, and obviously Hosana and Tamba are not too far apart either, so it's tough to know who exactly is who. The only reason I say it was Thandi and Tamba is just because of where we last saw Thandi, and those tracks come straight out of that area. So unfortunately that's who I think it is, but it's interesting to see how far she's pushing towards the west. It really is now starting to get right up against Shadow's territory. There's nothing stopping her, so I suppose time will tell as to whether she starts to stay here more. Now we're going to carry on and try and see if I can't find anything else while we drive around these southern sections, but I believe James has found a rather large aquatic animal that he would like to show all of you.
Yes, I found a whale, everybody. There's a whale, 2 whales, resting here at Buffelshoek Dam. Of course, this is the second whale sighting we've had today. We had a whale sighting at Treehouse Dam earlier that was devoid of any signal, so unfortunately we had to find more whales. But luckily, Sebastian and I are exceptional whale trackers, and that's why we have now managed to find these 2 whales here. You enjoy whales, don't you, Seb?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
They're wonderful to see, especially these ones which, as you can see, are porpoising around, diving up and down, breaching at will as they feed on the krill that there is in this pristine lake. Everything is going to sleep, everybody. It's turning to around 9 o'clock in the morning. The heat is building. The only bird I can hear is a traumatized hornbill of some kind going, and then way in the distance, in the riverbed of the great Umramati, I can hear the distant plaintive whistle of a southern boo-boo. Violet, the bird that sounds like a whiny baby, you say? Well, it could be a few things. The grey go-away bird sounds a little bit like a whiny baby. It goes, wah, wah, wah. Is that perhaps what you were thinking of? Then, if you weren't talking about a bird that we had here today, you might have been thinking not of the grey heron that we were about to see, but perhaps of the trumpeter hornbill, which doesn't sound so much like a whiny baby as it does a baby that is in deep distress. Let me just play that call for you now. Hornbill. It's a dreadful call. It really is, makes me feel rather uneasy.
It was...
What did you hear?
I think I heard a leopard calling in that direction.
Oh, Sebastian thought he heard a leopard calling. Where, Seb?
In that direction.
Down to the south.
Yes.
Right, we're looking at a grey heron there, everybody.
Oh, where is it?
It's there.
Sorry.
All right, let's go with the trumpeter hornbill again. And I have heard those here from time. Such a horrible call. I have heard them from here from time to time, but I think you're probably talking about the grey go-away bird. The grey heron. I think we are correct, Violet, that it is the grey go-away bird. The heron has a dreadful voice, actually. It really is a foul voice. Heron. Let me just play it for you, just because I have it out at the moment. And, well, you shouldn't listen to bad music, but every so often you just need to appreciate the good calls. Ugh. Ooh. I mean, isn't that astounding? Yes, I mean, enough of that. Good. Well, that was Buffelshoek Dam, everyone. We're going to press on from here, and I think we will probably head down towards where Sebastian thought he may have heard some leopard calls, because, well, we've got nowhere else to go, really. The day has really assumed that feeling of, which is very different from the dawn. Okay, let's carry on from here. Oh, hang on a second. So there's something leaping around in this bush here. Sorry, everyone. Oh. It is a Franklin. Oh, very exciting. Which I don't think we're going to be able to see with the camera. Alrighty, we're going to go across to Jamie, who I believe is having some sort of discussion with Tristan, and I've no doubt that they will edify you as to what it is that they are discussing.
If you really want to know what we're discussing, we were discussing Tristan's brake lines. We were discussing how on earth Rusty's brakes have failed, and the decision was it was Tristan's appalling driving after those lions.
Most definitely. My driving was not good.
I heard you crashing about.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
May not have hit a few trees.
Oh dear. That's worth it. Shame. I mean, brake lines go. Hey, Rusty. That's okay.
Not the first one, or the last.
Our leopards have all crossed out.
I know, it's quite depressing.
It is. It's really sad.
I drove from Gary Manor, just one track after another going. I was like, no.
Did you hear him calling now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's not talk about that anymore. How are you, Craig?
Thank
Good, thanks. Cool, alright. Bye-bye. It is depressing though. No, really, it really is. When you see Tingana's tracks on top of all of the vehicle tracks that I've driven along here. Oh, there was a funny sound coming from Rusty. I'm just going to ignore that completely. All the leopard tracks and all of them crossing out south. So I guess what we're going to do is start wandering back. We've only got half an hour left and a long way to travel. The road is long, so we'll start heading back towards somewhere. Oh, back into this dip again. I feel like I've spent an inordinate amount of time here. This is where we found the lion on foot the other day. YouTuber would like to know, what animal would I be if I was an animal on this safari? You know, it's really hard because are we going with choice or are we going with what our personalities would closely match up to? And that's a really difficult question. The other day Seb said to me, or are we going with looks? The other day Seb said to me that I would be a dwarf mongoose. And I think that's just because I'm really small, because I'm not sure. Well, maybe it works out quite well. I really struggle with that question. If I could choose, I think I would choose to be something like a leopard. I think having that lithe agility would be awesome. But then you could be an elephant and you could talk to other elephants. It's a really difficult one. A lot of people choose birds. A lot of people choose martial eagles. Quite a few people, actually. If I was going to be a bird, I'd be a shikra. Something small and agile that can swoop through the various trees. Not a big, clumsy bird of prey. Chandre, what would you be?
Mermaid.
A mermaid. That's not real. I hate to tell you. Oh, Chandre's face. Chandre's face of devastation. Tristan says I'd be a slender mongoose. Maybe. It would be quite solitary at times. I don't mind being on my own. I think being constantly groomed like a dwarf mongoose would probably drive me mad. I'm not good at doing it myself, let alone having other people do it. I don't know, I think being a leopard would be really awesome. I think it would be amazing to feel that power and that agility and that lithe way of ducking and diving and jumping. Maybe even being an impala would be quite fun. Imagine if you could jump like an impala. I think that would be also quite cool. So I always find that question very difficult to answer. And then there's actually your true personality. What personality is closer? I mean, Brent's somewhere between a male lion and a wild dog. Somewhere in between there, which I know doesn't sound very sensible, but that's where he's at. And I always picture Steph as a battalier, if he were an animal. But those are the easier ones. We've discussed this quite a bit. Rex, I think, would be a lion, male lion. Oh, the question, of course, cannot just be asked of myself. I think we should find out from Tristan what he would like to be and what he would really be.
Jamie, well, we went through this the other day, and what I would like to be, I think I would like to be, I don't know, a big bull elephant. That for me would be fun. I think you kind of just move around slowly every day, take it very easy. You don't have to worry about being hunted or sort of chased around by other animals. You can just cruise and everyone kind of gives you a bit of room and you just do your own thing and no one really has to worry about you. Also, you can get to all places that a lot of other animals can't get to, see amazing things, play in water, go for a swim every now and then. So I think a big bull elephant would be a nice one. You also live for a long time, so you would be able to see lots of cool things in your time. So I think that would be it. What I really am, not sure, Jamie. You guys all say a bear, but we don't get bears here in Africa, so Craig apparently thinks I'm a mountain goat, so we're still not over that fact. But I don't know why I'm a mountain goat. Why am I a mountain goat, Craig? You don't know, it just came out. Have you reassessed? Because my feelings are still hurt, Craig. No.
Kind of on the spot.
You're on the spot now, so we're still sticking with mountain goat. Oh, okay, fair enough. No, I don't know about a mountain goat. But I would say what I really am sure. I don't know, actually. Kerr says we should call me Billy from now on. You'll have to change the name of my strap on when it comes up. You'll have to call me Billy Dix, which doesn't sound any better at all, actually. But no, I'm not sure. I don't know what I would really be. I suppose you have to ask other people what you would really be, because other people have a better sense of what you are as opposed to what you think you are. So it's always better to ask others. Kirst, what do you think? So Kirsty's in FC today, so I'm going to ask Kirst what she thinks. There's silence now. Kirst is obviously still pondering. I know, so Kirst is saying she would love to say bear as well, but we don't have bears. Well, Kirst, then I don't know. I'm afraid an ant bear. No, I don't want to be an ant bear. I want to... Hold on. I just saw some tracks here that I want to look at quickly. I don't want to be an ant bear. Ant bears, aardvarks are not the prettiest things. They're like bald with little spiky hairs and long noses. And it's just our hyena friends that have been running around, and that's where I'm actually off to. So now to get a bit more serious. Why, thank you, Kirst. Kirsty says that's what I look like. I look like an aardvark. Thank you very much, Kirst. That's very kind of you. That is my skull. Now, we've got a spider web, so I do apologize. Now, I'm going to, in all seriousness, now go try to see if I can't go pop into the hyena den. It is quite late in the morning, and I don't think it will be active, but it's worth going to go and have a look anyway. You never know. Maybe our two mischievous cubs are out and about and playing around. I don't know, has the mystery been solved of the second cub as to who it is? It seems like it's quite a bit bigger than the other one, and I'm not sure though if it's as big as what Gwen's cubs will be. I mean, it doesn't look as though it's that large. Hello, wildebeest. It's our Philemon's cutline wildebeest. He's always around in this general vicinity, either around sort of the Zoe's junction under his scotia tree where he rolls around, which unfortunately had a leopard at it yesterday morning. There was Shadow and Cub walked around there early hours of yesterday morning, so maybe that's why he's been evicted from that spot and has now decided to come and feed in this area. Or it could be the lure of females that maybe are on quarantine. We'll have to check just now when we start heading back if there are any females on quarantine that he could potentially be going towards. But he is a prime specimen of a male. Got nice big shoulders and lots of muscles on him as well after this summer, so he's managed to pick up quite a bit of weight. And look at that coloration, isn't that nice? These guys get that kind of bluish hue from time to time, and that's where their name comes from. Blue wildebeest. It's because of that hue that they get when the sun shines on them. They also have the name brindled gnu, which is from those sort of light and dark patches of fur that they have around the sort of neck and shoulders area. But like I say, he's a male in his prime, so I'm sure he does have some females somewhere, or would be able to challenge for females. It's just that in these areas there's so little place for wildebeest that they unfortunately have a lot of competition, and so even a male in his prime... Oh, careful, buddy. There's a branch there. Unfortunately, wildebeest are not the cleverest animals, as is case in point. When feeding and you bump into a tree and try and sort of just horn it away rather than actually just reversing slightly. Now let's see if... Oh, there we go. Well done. Got it right this time. That stick really is giving you a hard time, isn't it, Mr. Wildebeest? Now, I wonder if there's a name for this wildebeest. I know Brent has named most of them. So, Rita, you're wondering why he's alone. Well, it's two reasons for it. One is, like I was saying earlier, there's not much habitat for them. And so you find that in these areas, there's only small pockets of open sections that wildebeest can live in. And so there's quite a sort of high... competition between all of them, and you'll often then find young males will be pushed out of herd systems by the bigger dominant male, and they then have to live on their own for a while until they get bigger and stronger and can dominate for themselves. And so what's happened with this wildebeest is he's been chased out, and then he's gone into an area where he's tried to find a likely habitat that he can survive, and unfortunately for him there's no females there, and so that means that he then lives alone until females will come along and he can either get them, or he can go into an area where he can challenge for females and be able to actually take over some of the females for himself. Now, I suspect that the male that he competes with the most is the male on quarantine, and that male maybe is a little bit stronger because that male has a nice number of females that he looks after. So unfortunately for him, that's why he's alone, is because he's just not strong enough to chase the male of quarantine at this stage. Right, now talking about dominant big males that roam around the Sabi Sands, the most dominant of them all is James Hendry. So let's go across to him and see what he's doing.
I'm so dominant, aren't I, Seb? There is a impala ram, in case you were confused as to what we were looking at. And I stopped here, well, mainly because it's the only thing I can find. But secondly, I thought to myself, you know, the leaves are now starting to change colour, and that means that there's a very subtle difference in the smell to the wilderness out here at the moment. And what we will do once we've looked at that, well, I'm going to say semi-okay version of Impala Hood. He's not a particularly magnificent male. He will be next year, probably. As he wanders off into the shade, what we're going to do is drive forward, just very slightly, to Viam's very favourite trees. And it is what we might term the three sisters over here. Can you see the three sisters? There they are. 3 false marulas. And just look what's going on there. Can you see that, Tristan? In fact, not Tristan, Seb. Why do I get the two of you confused? You don't look the same. You just certainly don't sound the same. But what we have here, of course, is the subtle turning of the leaves from green to yellow, and they're starting to fall from the tree. And that makes everything smell slightly different. It just has got a, well, I guess a very subtle potpourri type smell to the bush out here. And it is an indication, of course, of the changing of the seasons. Now, I plan to come and stand here and have the leaves falling about me. Naturally, as I've done so, oh, there we go. There's probably one. Wonderful. So the wind has stopped blowing. Anyway, these all start to smell like subtle potpourri. And by the time the winter comes, and the whole place smells like that, mixed with a bit of dust. It's very nice to smell the different changes that happen. Good. Yes, on we go. I'm afraid we have not managed to find the animal that Tristan, at least, it was unbelievable, that Seb heard calling from Bushell's exam. But we will keep up our search until the end of the drive. In fact, I think we should go this way, because we've done most of that other road. Riti, this is a question we get asked fairly frequently, and you want to know what animal I would like to be. I'm quite happy being a human being, actually, Riti. I think that human beings have got pretty much the best lot. There, hornbill is 4 paces, that's not bad going. And so, Riti, I'm going to go with human being. They are, well, the longest lived of any animal out here. We don't have to worry too much about finding things to eat, well, for the most part anyway. And we don't have to worry too much about being eaten by lions and leopards and hyenas. We don't have to mark out territories and fight for them. I think being a human being, despite what we might consider a traumatic existence, is probably much less traumatic than it would be to be, for example, that hornbill. If I was to be an animal other than a human being, well, I suppose I would choose to be an elephant as well. They live for the longest. This is a mammal, of course. And if I wasn't going to be an elephant, then maybe I would be a batelier or a martial eagle. Perhaps even a blue whale. Maybe I'd like to be a blue whale. I certainly wouldn't swim around the seas of Japan or Norway, but I think a blue whale would be a good thing to be. How long they live? Long do they live? Anybody know how long a blue whale lives? I wonder if anybody's managed to figure that out. Then I suppose if you would know, you're talking about being a long-lived animal. You certainly don't want to be this yellow-billed hornbill. They won't live very long, probably about, well, maybe up to 10 years or so. Then you might want to be a crocodile. But nobody wants to be a crocodile because they just don't look very nice. And apparently Wikipedia says a blue whale lives between 80 and 110. Well, I mean, Wikipedia is the source of all knowledge, isn't it? Right, let's move along from here. That was quite a nice little hornbill sighting. It was sharpening its beak there, just cleaning it off. I think birds have to do that quite a lot, because although the keratin on the sheath of the beak is very hard, it must be kept in shape. Otherwise, the very deft and very dexterous work that it has to do will be compromised. So you can't be a lazy hornbill youngster and not clean your beak properly, because there are no hornbill dentists to fix your beak like they are to fix lazy children who do not brush their teeth after too many chocolates and toffees. I suppose that is the disadvantage to being a human being. You tend to have a diet that is not necessarily what you were designed to eat, and therefore it brings about all sorts of health problems that other animals don't have. Hello, Adele. We were seeing a hornbill there, and you were wondering about endangered animals and how many there are around this area. Well, let's try and list them. There is some debate as to whether lions should be designated endangered or not. Probably not just yet, but pretty close. Leopards about the same. Wild dogs are definitely endangered. Ground hornbills are another very endangered species. Those are the two major ones, the wild dogs and the hornbills. Then of course we have the white rhino, which isn't considered endangered just yet, but it is certainly threatened. Black rhino is endangered. They're around sometimes, very seldom, but we do see their tracks every so often passing through this reserve. What else would we have? Many of the vulture species are becoming endangered. Many of the larger raptor eagle species are becoming endangered, but actually designated endangered animals would probably include the black rhino, the wild dog, the ground hornbill, and I don't think that there are any others actually that would be on the red list classified as endangered. There might be one or two. I feel like I'm leaving something out there, but I don't think so. There might be one or two insect species that are critically endangered, and I love this good discussion because insects and even smaller things come into and out of existence without us even noticing them sometimes. And so something like, I don't know, a small fly that feeds exclusively on a little known plant out here, perhaps a very slight switch in the climate has resulted in that flower disappearing from this area, resulting in the total extinction of a species of insect before it was even discovered. Isn't that quite a nice well, it's not a nice thought, but it's quite an interesting thought. And those we will never know of as being endangered at all. Yuki, this is a nice one to answer. You say, apart from poaching, what is the major cause of animals being endangered? Poaching is actually probably a minor cause of animals becoming endangered. Animals are only becoming endangered because of poaching as a result of the foremost cause. Have we got it there, Seb? Come on, squirrel, sit still. It's just sitting in the grass there. I think it'll pop its head out. Yuki, habitat loss is by far and away the largest killer of animals and wild spaces. And as our human population burgeons, so the space for wild animals decreases in more and more. And also, of course, the need for, other than just for agricultural land, the need for people to eat certainly does result in a huge loss of wildlife. But it is largely habitat loss that is causing the extinction of many species. And then if you look at something like wild dogs, for example, wild dogs, although yes, it's certainly habitat loss has caused a problem, but contact with human beings and domestic stock is an issue. So disease created by the large settlement of human beings is a huge problem for wildlife. And while poaching is absolutely a problem, just remember, however, that the poaching problems paled in significance when we compare the slaughter that was that the animals of this area and many parts of the world were subjected to during the 19th century when guns first came into many wildlife areas. It's a really nice question. Let's head across to Tristan, who has got a hoopoe that likes to live in wood.
Well, they do, James, as opposed to nesting elsewhere. The wood is their best place to go. And hoopoes are one of the strangest birds. They've got this odd-shaped head with that big crest and long beak. And you'll find this beautiful kind of orangey, rusty color. Now, this particular one looks like it might be a female. Females tend to get a washed kind of gray chest, where the males don't get. The males tend to be a lot brighter than that on the front area, although it's difficult to say. It's really difficult to sex them unless they're sitting next to one another and one looks slightly brighter than the other. Now, normally you'll find them in a pair around, so I'm trying to see if I can't see another one, but it seems that it's just this guy, and you can see how well they actually camouflage, particularly in these autumn times when the leaves start to go shades of yellows and oranges. These guys actually blend in really, really well. And the name hoopoe comes from the noise that they make when they call. They basically say hoopoe, 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 and that's where the name comes from. Now, they are ferocious insect hunters. They'll go after anything that is burrowing in the ground, so crickets and locusts and those kind of things they'll go after, and then also even into wood. Every now and then they'll find them pulling out wood-boring beetles. They'll feed off areas where woodpeckers have made holes. They'll go into sort of rotten wood where there's bits of bark that are starting to loosen and feed off any sort of grubs and things that are inside there. And that's why such a long recurved beak like that, to be able to find the food that they need. But certainly give himself a very good groom this morning, or herself should I say. Now let's see if it'll put its crest up. When they put their crest up, oh, it's a bit of yoga right there. I don't know if you saw that, but her foot was over the back of her head. And many a yoga... There we go. So many a yoga person would be impressed with that maneuver. I wonder if any of our camp, there's a few girls that like to do yoga, if any of them can put their feet over the back of their head. Certainly is grooming with much vigor this morning. It seems like it's really on a mission to make sure that it is the cleanest, most beautiful bird out in the African bush today. I really like them. I like hoopoes. They're not one that's easy to actually get on camera. They tend to fly quite a bit and can be a bit skittish, so to actually get them sitting nicely out in the open is not the easiest thing, so quite glad that we did. Adam, so this is number 113 on your bird list. Well done, Adam. I'm glad that we are slowly progressing on your list, and I'm surprised that after 112 birds that this is the one that you're seeing, because these guys are quite common, but like I was saying, they can be a bit difficult to get onto camera, so I'm glad that we've ticked that one off. I'm sure there's a few others out there that don't have this bird on their list, and so hopefully this will be another one to add, much like what Adam has done. It's exciting when people do keep bird lists. It's always nice for us to hear how everyone is going on their bird lists and how things are developing, and it certainly helps us to keep looking for birds and remember how exciting it is to keep building this list and when you get a new species of bird on it. So I'm glad. This is a nice bird to have, Adam, as a new one. Like I said, very, very pretty. And there comes that crest. There we go. Isn't that cool? Very, very cool. All right, Mr. Hoopu, or Miss Hoopu, should I say? Have a nice day. Well, Hoopu obviously decided it was time to go as well. It was a mutual decision. Right, onward and forward, closer towards the camp as we start to track down breakfast from well, it's actually from Happiness. It's not from Amanda, so Happiness is in because Amanda's on leave. And while we do that, James has managed to find some colossal beasts.
Yes, you know things have got desperate when your fellows are linking to you with absolute relief because you have found an animal. Yes, well, this is an animal. It is an animal that we know quite well. It's known as the African elephant, everybody. For those of you who have not seen one before, yeah, we see them relatively frequently out here. And this is our second sighting of the African elephant today. This one is a young bull, and he's got a young friend, who we will show you once we've observed the grazing style. There's his young friend. There's a little bit like a young, sort of young buck hanging around with a slightly older, more experienced fellow. Jerry, a very good question, and one again that is quite a frequent source of topic of discussion, if not exactly in this guise. You say, have African elephants ever been used for work like their Asian counterparts? And the answer, Jerry, is not really. The only person I know of who used them specifically in history was Hannibal, of course, and he tried to cross the Alps with elephants. Elephants are quite hungry, though, quite a lot of the time, African elephants. And one of the reasons that they haven't been used for work, we think, is that they have to eat for a lot longer than their Asian counterparts. The digestive systems are designed to cope with an environment that is far less fertile and therefore does not have food nearly as nutritious as their Asian counterparts. And so that's one reason. The other reason, of course, is that in Africa there is no tradition of domesticating animals. And that is because the animals of Africa evolved with people. Now, because they evolved with people, the result was that they are generally utterly terrified of us and either run away from us or try to kill us. And so domesticating an African elephant, not an easy prospect, especially in the absence of any kind of tradition of domesticating animals. So I think those are the two main reasons why they were never domesticated out here. You can domesticate them, and certainly they have been used for safaris. They've definitely been used for safaris and continue to be used for safaris now and again, although that has become increasingly socially unacceptable, and many elephant-back safari operations have started closing their doors as a result of public pressure. We had a long discussion yesterday, almost at exactly the same time of the day, about whether or not I agreed or did not agree with elephant-back safaris. And we had a nice discussion about domestication and when it became acceptable to remove an animal out of the wild. So we used the example of a wolf and dogs and cats, and obviously they once were wild in the same way that elephants are. And I came to the conclusion that I didn't agree that you should be able to keep an animal if you had to keep it chained, which is generally what happens with elephants. Would you like me to move forward slightly, Seb, or back?
Can you go in there?
Yeah, I can. FTW Jester, that's an interesting name you have. You say, has an elephant ever killed another animal with its tusks? Absolutely. Regularly. Sorry, excuse the noise of my hat moving. I just wanted to get a slightly better position. That's about as good as we're going to get, Seb, I'm afraid. That bull there has got very large tusks, And FTW Jester, those sorts of tusks have been used to kill human beings before. They will kneel down onto a human being and stab. They have certainly been used for. There are many reports of elephants killing each other with their tusks. It's not that common, but it does happen. And likewise, there are many examples of elephants killing animals like rhino and buffalo, especially in areas where they've been reintroduced. So, for example, if you were to take a young bull like this and remove him completely from the social situation in which he finds himself, a social situation that is going to give him all of the sort of experience and social etiquette that he's going to need to be an adult bull elephant, if you remove him from that and from the experience and teaching that he'll get from mature cows and bulls, then he will almost certainly become what we call a rogue elephant, or what we term a rogue elephant, and those elephants become very dangerous to other animals like rhino and hippo and buffalo, and those tusks will be used to kill those animals. But it's only when they are in extreme stress that they will try and kill something with their tusks. YouTuber, you want to know what an elephant's skin feels like? It feels hard. It feels leathery. And, yeah, I mean, it doesn't... It feels like it looks, really. I mean, it just feels like hard, sort of wrinkly leather. And the only way I know that, unfortunately, is because I have had the misfortune of having to be part of a group that had to put down some elephants after a fire. And so I've been quite close to elephant carcasses, unfortunately. And that was a long time ago. But I've never touched an elephant on an actual safari. Here he comes. Oh, who do you think you are, young fellow? That's very cheeky of you. I think he's decided that because he can hide behind this bush. There's another young bull here. Apparently today is Africa Day, everybody. Well, that's very appropriate. How did we find that out? That's really quite special. We must talk about that a lot, I think, in our afternoon safari. Now, this is the genital smelling that goes on when... Sorry, I wasn't looking in the same place that Seb was. Genital smelling that happens when young elephants greet each other. I just want to move slightly back. We've only got 30 seconds left. This is young love, everybody. It's young love. That's a young cow and a young bull. There it is. All right, everyone, that's going to be it from the morning safari, afternoon where some of you are, of course. We will see you later. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for your questions and comments. Thank you, Sebastian, for your efforts, and to Jamie and Tristan and Craig and Jean-Andre it was today. A big thank you, and we'll see you later at 4 o'clock. No, 3.